Bacon Air 650 here. Today we are looking at my Masada and looking at which magazines work best with it. So let's look at the magazine lineup. Starting here in corner number 1, we have the Magpul PTS PMag. Comes with the gun, works great. So basically it comes with the gun, always works, holds 120 rounds. It's based off the PMag Gen 2 version. Over here we have the SOCOM Gear Lancer L5 magazine. Kind of nice, has these fake bullets. Unfortunately, they were all brass until I went in here and I painted the copper and tungsten tips to replicate M855A1 ammo. One of the nice things about this magazine is that it holds 190 rounds, making it one of the highest capacities that we have in here. Next on up is the KWA K20. Basically, it's a PMag kind of replica. Has those nice grooves for you to grip it in your hand. It holds 120 rounds. Next we have here is Evike's Banff Mags with its kind of Crayola crayons kind of looking in here. Holds 190 rounds, kind of a cheap, very economical magazine. Personally, what I'll be doing later on, I will be unscrewing this. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to replace it with my own picture of some real bullets. And last and certainly not least is PTS's new EPM magazine. Right now, I think we can pretty much all agree that this one's going to be the winner. There's a lot of great innovative features. So let's look at each magazine a little bit up close and some of the pros and cons that I like about them. Alright, here I have my Masada batteries unhooked. So right now we're just going to be looking at, I've used this magazine a lot. They're about 30 bucks so they're a bit pricey and they're going to be hard to find since PTS and Magpul have kind of parted ways a little bit, but still in good terms. They're still going to make the Masada, they're still going to make a lot of the guns and stuff. They're just not going to make accessories such like this grip over here. Kind of reasonably expected. Basically here in the US we can just get all our Magpul stuff. The real steel doesn't cost that much difference for us, and it's probably going to be a little higher quality. Downside is that we're going to lose the PMags here. They're 120 rounds. They feed great. They're not the highest speed, not the strongest spring, but they feed pretty well. One hand, they bump in there, they lock in, no problem. When I hit the magazine, they fall out, no problem. Very little wobble. A little bit of wobble is okay. I personally would rather have the magazine go in easy and fall out quickly, even if there's a little wobble. Just makes it, if I need to change magazines, helps just make it happen a little quicker. Downsides with this, like I said, are the price. It is based on a Gen 2 PMag. I personally like the Gen 3 with the little matrix dots here, so you can color code them, but it's still a great magazine. Alright, so here's side by side looking between a real PMag and a PTS PMag for Airsoft. You can see they're roughly about the same width. So when you grab either one, they feel very similar. This one just feels a tad bit skinnier. Of course, a real PMag is a little longer, just because this has to reach all the way up to here. In Airsoft, it needs to just reach about here. So they are a little shorter than a real magazine. This is kind of important to think about as when I'm thinking about when I put one of these magazines in this pouch. A PTS PMag or most Airsoft magazines will actually sit a little lower. Next up is our Lancer. Things I like about this one is that it's 190 rounds. There are also a package of them for 5 is about 60 bucks. Things I did not like about it are that the fake bullets here are painted all brass. Kind of, it's not that realistic. And probably my biggest gripe is this. I had to drill this out. This is the one that I didn't do so well on. I actually had to drill this out a little bit, so when I input there, it locks in. If not, this button here doesn't depress all the way. It's kind of partially pushed out, and it doesn't come out very well. So overall, once you do that modification, it locks in with a satisfying click, comes out decently. Now with these, you will notice they are a little bit longer compared to that PMAG. That's because it has to fit the 190 rounds. Well, the nice things about that is when I put that into my mag pouches, it will sit up the proper height. Next magazine here is the KWA K120. You would think these would be great magazines for the Masadas. It would be high-speed feeding. Sadly, they are not high-speed feeding, but I run my gun a little bit on the probably about the low 20s in the rounds per second. So it's about 21, 22 rounds per second. So these feed fine. They do lock in. The KWA magazines are a little thicker than most magazines, but they fit in the mag wall just fine. Unfortunately, with the Masada, they do not click in. One of the reasons is that the height of this magazine is just not high enough. So what I did, I basically made a stencil here, and then I matched it here and increased the height. And I just took a bit of a file and just filed that down a little bit at a time, and inserted to make sure it would lock in and click. Locks in and clicks, there's no wobble or anything, it works fine. Just a little bit of wobble there, but no wobble on your mag switch. Feeds fine after you do that modification. Definitely good magazine. About 50 bucks for a pack, I believe, of 5 of them, 5 or 6. So they are a good economical choice. I paint these with a little bit OD green paint, matches the Masada a little bit. Next one here is the EVIC Banff magazine. It is 190 rounds. It does do pretty good on feeding. So it is definitely on competition with the EPM magazine. Definitely has that Magpul look. Plastic is a little bit definitely on the cheaper side, but it's really nice, lightweight. It does stick out. Just roughly about the same height as a real steel magazine. One of the nice things is when you put this into the mag pouch, it will set the same height as a real AR-15 magazine. Therefore, when you pull it in and out, it will actually be designed what the pouches are designed for. They're not going to be a little bit on the shorter side. Makes it really nice to take out. 190 rounds make it a really great deal. The downside is quality control. Some of these lips here do not let me lock it in, and they just need to be filed down a little bit. So, you know, great magazine for the price. And, you know, I'm thinking about picking up maybe a few more. All right. This is it. The PTS EPM magazine. The magazine that we all know is the winner. Now, if you haven't heard about this, it's a 150 round magazine. It's not as big as a 190s. It's supposed to feed super reliably for high-speed rigs. The back plate's got a little bit of Ranger tab with a little bit rubber, and it has that matrix little dot thing like the Gen 3 PMAG, so I can customize this, label it. Definitely more slimmer in terms of there's no ribs or anything, but you got a little bit of ribbing, a little bit texturing here. Very similar to the EMAG, basically the version of the PMAG designed for more of the European guns, which are a little more picky. You got that orange follower there. Nice thing about that, when you look down here, you know you're empty. Additionally, when the magazine is full, you'll see that orange follower here. Got this in OD green. So pretty much we know this one is going to be the winner. And that is my problem with this. Yes, it goes in there. It does not wobble 100%. Yes, it comes out nice and easy, but I have to really slam it in there. I tried this out on my VFC Scar. It took it no problem, but my VFC Scar would pretty much take any magazine that's made out there. It probably has the best magazine compatibility of any of my guns. The Magpul, it's kind of a little pickier. You know, I had to modify some of the magazines. I had to modify that. You saw what I had to do to modify that SOCOM Lancer. You know, great looking magazine. I had to modify it. Same with the KWAs, and then possibly even one or two of the e-bike magazines. So it's a little picky. But you would think PTS EPM magazine would just go in there without any problems, but I'm really having to put it in there. If I do it gently, it's just not. I have to really throw it in there. Now in a high stress situation, it could be hit or miss whether or not I'm going to put it in there. If I'm doing a tactical reload where I have one hand here, one here like this. Alright. That's a bit of a problem. Great looking magazine. I personally think the brass here is way too shiny. I've only seen 556 of this shiny once, and that was with the Hornady Zombie Max. Most 556 round animals are a little more faded than that. So I think one, they need to lower the shine on that. Basically make it a little dirty. I may just dirty that up a little bit with some flat gray paint, or not flat gray, but maybe a brown paint to kind of give it a look like that tarnish. And they need to fix that compatibility issue. For a magazine that they're claiming, oh, it works on all these guns, works on the HK416 scars, but yeah, well, anything. You can put anything in a scar and it would take it. But the fact that it will not even fit in one of their own guns easily, it's kind of a big problem to me. So who's the winner of this magazine competition? I wish I could say it was this guy. I really do. For 25 bucks, which is much better than the P-Mag. I really wish it was. But sadly, it's not this guy. The Lancer, I have to do some pretty heavy modification to it, but it is definitely one of the contenders for being probably one of the good ones, because of that's 190 round. KWA, love these magazines. They're great, especially for loners. They're inexpensive. It kind of falls in the middle ground, though. Nothing really spectacular about it. Takes a little bit of modification to work, but it's just a nice, solid 120 round magazine. P-Mag, it kind of loses out to the KWA, even though it's compatible when it works. It's also 30 bucks, and that's a lot of money for a magazine there. This one, yeah, this one doesn't even work. It's a real steel one. It just gets stuck. Which brings me to the surpriser of the winner. Yes, these look ugly, but that could be fixed easily. Yes, it's a little cheap, but it's also cheap in price. It's 190 rounds, and for the price, just having to shave that down a little bit with a light file, like this. When you compare it to this guy who's supposed to be beating this is supposed to be a copy of this, trying to compete with this, being a cheap version. This one holds more rounds, feeds great. Goes into the magazine well, no problems for the most part without that modification. If I'm paying 25 bucks for this magazine, I not need to modify it, and it needs to go in there, and it needs to lock in. It needs to lock in just like the old P-Mags. I need to hear that click, and I need to do it effortlessly. I need to do it with little effort. I need not slam it in there really hard and multiple times trying to get the lock. That's unacceptable. I really hope PTS will fix that. I really do. I really love the company. I love my Masada. But you guys need to kind of fix these things. You're supposed to be kind of leading the industry there. The fact that you got these kind of cheaper EVIC Banff magazines really beating you out, both in capacity and compatibility, it's a really sad fact. And the fact is, I'm going to buy more of these just because they're cheap. They hold 190 rounds, and you know, you can't beat the price. And when I put them in there, they lock in. So that concludes it. Kind of ending on a sad note that the PTS EPM did not perform as well as I thought it should have. And in fact, I am very pleased though that what did perform well was the EVIC Banff magazine. Why? Because it's cheap. It's affordable. That's a great thing. Additionally, it's the proper height, so when I put it in my gear, it's going to stand up at the proper height. So congratulations on EVIC. You guys actually either lucked in, or you really spent the investment and time to make sure this magazine worked out great. And it's good for new players. That concludes my review on which magazine is best. This definitely looks the best, but this guy's our winner. The EVIC Banff magazine. 190 rounds. Go to evic.com. They're great for Masada owners. It only comes in tan and black. Tan doesn't look too bad on the foliage green, but if that's something of a concern, wish they did have a little more colors, or you can just paint a little bit and also get rid of this. So that concludes it. Bacon Air 650 here. Hope you enjoyed it.